Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about license tests versus real-world driving. In other words, succumbing to social pressures. And I have 6 tips for you that will keep you safe after you get your license and you start driving, and will keep you defensive so that you remain crash-free and don't end up in a crash. Now, just bear with me here just a little bit. I'm just going to adjust the contrast on the video here a little bit, because I look a little pale here, so let's bump that up a little bit. There we go. Alright, apologies about that. So it's been a really great week. Lots of people getting their license and their road tests here in North America. Lots of people learning how to drive. Corey is here. Thanks very much, Corey, for moderating, and Corey is really good at getting videos up for you on topics that you have questions about. And I had a lot of questions this week about merging, and one person who sent me an email, and unfortunately I couldn't get the email to go back to you, and unfortunately I don't have that email up, but the person was from South Carolina and was talking about how busy the interstates were in the States and the US and those types of things. And one of the things that I want to talk about is that all of this skills and abilities and techniques that I show you in terms of merging onto freeways and whatnot apply to traffic, even if it's busy on the interstate, freeway, or motorway, depending on where you are in the world. Those skills and abilities are going to work for you. But I know at the beginning, for new drivers, it's very intimidating to get out on that on-ramp onto the acceleration lane and to merge out into oncoming traffic. And unfortunately, more so in the United States, but a little bit here in Canada as well, some of the prevailing attitudes are that if you're on the highway, freeway, you don't have to move over for vehicles that are merging onto the highway or freeway. And I would just like to say that that is simply not true, because what I would like to say about coming back to the idea that you can have the right of way, the right of way is never taken. The right of way is always given. In other words, you need to help other people, because driving is a social activity, and if you insist that you have the right of way and that you're not going to move over for other traffic, you could risk being in a crash, and you could risk your own safety and other road users who are on the roadway. So if you're insisting that you have the right of way and yet you're not going to move over, again, I come back to that to get along, you got to give a little bit, and sometimes it's just a matter of moving over to the other lane, to the left-hand lane if you can, or simply letting off the throttle a little bit, depending on where you are in space and place. And a couple of seconds out of your day isn't going to impact whether you're going to be late for an appointment or wherever you're going, and those types of things. So know that sometimes it's just a matter of taking a breath, taking your foot off the throttle, canceling the cruise, and then just slowing down a little bit and allowing the other person to move over and whatnot. So that's all you need to do in order to, if you are on the highway or freeway and somebody else is merging out on the freeway, then that's all you need to do in order to get along and facilitate that social activity that we call driving. So there we go. So Blessed is here. Hi Blessed, how are you? You made it tonight. Tracy is here. Tracy Charles, hi there. Takedown alarm. Harry here. I had my road test on the 25th, and I was just wondering what is a good average speed to keep in a 50 zone and a 30 zone. So takedown, you want to try and maintain the posted speed limit. You want to get up to the posted speed limit as quickly as possible for the purposes of road test. Now, if it is busy, like there's high pedestrian traffic, or you're in a residential area and there's lots of cars parked along, then that is a reason for you slowing down. Remember, the purposes of a road test is to show that you have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions. So you want to do the posted speed limit as much as possible, but if there are conditions on the roadway that warrant that you go slower, then you can go slower. All right. Let me just fix the focus here, because I don't think I'm in focus as much as I should be. So just bear with me here just a second. I'll fix the focus a little bit. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think that's better. There we go. Okay, so Cliff, thank you for your, yes, you're very welcome for what I do. I'm glad that I can help everybody out. Thank you, Tracy. Carson is here. I find that looking for a space before accelerating for speed is easier than matching speed first, and it's good for me to turn my head to get a better perspective. Yes, absolutely. Carson, it's really good if when you're coming out onto the on-ramp and you're coming out onto the acceleration lane to look for that gap. Look for that place that you're going to aim for, and then work on matching the speed of traffic flow or the posted speed limit. If you're going for a road test, you're going to have to do the posted speed limit. You don't want to go faster than that. All right, takedown, you're most welcome. Tracy, passed my road test on June 19th. Thanks for your videos. I'm from Grenada in the Caribbean. Tracy, that is really awesome, and I will, after we're done here, put you on the map of success that I have that is really great. And if you haven't seen the map of success, have a look at that. Corey will get the link for you there. And anybody who's passed a road test, I put that up on the map of success, and I put your comment up there, and congratulations to all of the smart drivers who passed the road test on and are part of the map of success. Givenchy, I have my highway test this week. Any tips? Yes, Givenchy, all road tests consist of 4 major components: speed management, space management, observation, and communication. So space management, you don't want to get near other road users, so when you stop in traffic, make sure that you can see the tires of the vehicle in front of you making clear contact with the pavement. Stopping at stop signed intersections, stop before the stop line, stop before the crosswalk line or the sidewalk, and if there isn't a crosswalk line or a stop line, then stop where the 2 roads meet. And have a look at the video there. Corey will put that up for you as well. Maintain a 2 to 3 second following distance under ideal traffic conditions. So if the traffic conditions deteriorate, there's congestion or whatnot, then you want to increase that following distance. That's space management, speed management, posted speed limit, or the flow of traffic, whichever is less. Observation, you need to scan well. So every time you turn or move the vehicle laterally, you want to do minimum 2 shoulder checks. You need to be looking far down the road, scanning your instrument panel, checking your mirrors far down the road, checking your wing mirrors far down the road, and checking your instrument panel. That's your scanning pattern for observation. Anytime you do slow speed maneuvers, make sure that you do a 360-degree scan around the vehicle before you back up. And then for every vehicle length that you're backing up, make sure that you look again. And as you're reversing, make sure you look out the back window. One of the most common mistakes for new drivers and for drivers, period, when they're driving is that they put the vehicle in motion before they actually look back. And no, for the purposes, there are only a couple of places in the world where you can use backup cameras, but backup cameras are only another aid for reversing. So don't use your backup camera. Most test centers won't let you use those as of yet. And then communicating with other traffic. So there's 5 different ways that we communicate with other traffic. Lights, signals, horns, hand gestures, appropriate hand gestures. Don't tell other people that they're number 1 on a road test. All 5 fingers if you're waving to somebody else. Don't wave other people on for the purposes of a road test. Horns, what else did I say? And position of the vehicle on the roadway is going to communicate to other road users your intentions on the roadway. So that's what you need to do, the 4 major components: space management, speed management, observation, communication, in order to pass a road test, regardless of class, regardless of where you are in the world. They all are the same. All right, Shakira, I'm here now. Where are you located? I'm looking for a trainee. Shakira, unfortunately, well, I'm in Vernon, British Columbia. Not unfortunately, I am here. Sebastian, can you do a video on oil change? Yes, I've done a video on oil change. Sebastian, there is one there. So, Carson, you passed your road test with my help. Awesome. Ben, I passed my road test on April 24th in Massachusetts. That's terrific. And again, Ben, I'll also add you to the map of success. Okay, there you go. Shakira, you live in Massachusetts as well, so Ben might be able to help you out there with somebody for a driving instructor. Awesome. Really great. Okay, so tonight what I have for you is I'm talking about the road test and talking about real-world driving. And I have 6 tips for you. 6 tips for you on strategies, techniques that you learn for the purposes of a road test that will apply to real-world driving that you can keep and will keep you safe and keep you crash-free. Because many people get their license and then they succumb to the social pressure of the activity that we call driving. They follow too close, they speed, they fail to give the right of way. They're not flexible in their driving. They think that they have the right of way and they think that they need to go and take the right of way, which compromises safety not only for yourself but for other people. So I'm going to talk about 6 things in the road test that you learn that you should hang on to after you get your license. And probably the hardest thing to do when you start doing these strategies and putting these strategies in place is that you're going against what everybody else is doing when they're driving, because we have this thing called social driving, or what I call social driving. People follow too close. They don't stop at stop signs. They follow too, I think I already said follow too close, but they stop too close to other people. They don't manage space around their vehicles. And as I've said before in other live streams, is that one of the keys to remaining crash free is to effectively managing space around your vehicle. If you can manage space around your vehicle, it's less likely that you're going to hit another road user or a fixed object while you're driving. So I'm taking some of the pieces that you're going to learn when you're doing a road test and applying them to real world driving. And that way it's going to keep you safe and going to keep you crash free while you're driving. So the first thing, number one, space management. Space management, in my mind, is the key to defensive driving and the key to staying crash free or remaining crash free. Because as I already said, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. So 2 to 3 seconds minimum following distance behind other traffic while you're in the city and while you're on country roads, or out on the highway rather. And the reason that we have 2 to 3 seconds under ideal conditions is because time is relative. And the reason that time is relative, therefore, as your speed increases, the following distance behind other traffic also increases. So therefore, when you're doing 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, you're doing approximately 27 meters per second or 32 yards per second. When you slow down to 60 kilometers an hour, that decreases to about 19 meters per second or 20 yards per second. So therefore, if you have a 2-second following distance in town, you're about 80 yards behind the vehicle in front of you, or about 75 meters. If you're out on the highway, you're going to be 27 times plus 27 is 54 meters. So you're about 100 feet, 125 feet behind the vehicle in front of you. So that distance between you and other vehicles increases. So it's important to keep track of your time. That way you're going to be a good following distance between other vehicles. The other thing that I see in terms of social driving is that when people stop in traffic, they pull right up behind the vehicle in front of them, and it's not a defensive strategy in terms of being rear-ended, because if you have space in front of your vehicle when you're stopped in traffic, approximately 1 vehicle length, if you're looking in your mirror and you see a vehicle behind you that's not going to stop and you potentially could be rear-ended, oftentimes that space is enough to just move up that 1 car length, and that vehicle behind you will get stopped before they rear end into you. The other thing is, if the vehicle in front of you breaks down, you can get out around that vehicle, or if the vehicle behind you is not going to stop, you can simply drive out around the vehicle and get around it. So there's a good reason to stop back behind other traffic so that you're at least 1 vehicle length away from them. So space management is number 1 that you should hang on to in terms of real world driving after you get your license, okay? So, Givenchy, any tips on entering freeway that is congested? Yes, Givenchy, the first tip that I'm going to give you in terms of entering a freeway that is congested, put your signal on as soon as you get onto the on-ramp, because your signal will request from other drivers that you wish to move out onto the highway. And eventually somebody is going to help create a gap for you because you're asking to move out onto the freeway. So you have to have your signal on. The other thing is that if you're on the highway and somebody's got their flasher on, that's going to annoy you, and you do want to shut it off, so you're going to create a space so that they can move over. So communication is the most important. As well, if there's a large vehicle out on the highway, like a big truck or something, know that they're going to accelerate slower. So there's oftentimes going to be a space in front of that larger vehicle that you can move into out onto the roadway. But key is to get your signal on. That's how you merge out onto congested highways and freeways and whatnot. Ben, forgot to add, your videos helped a lot. Thanks very much. Ben, you are most welcome. I'm really happy that we could help you out to get your license and be successful in that. Renee, hello Rick. Is it correct to cross a solid yellow line when you're entering a street from your driveway? So obviously you're making a left-hand turn, Renee. Yes, you can cross a solid yellow line. A solid yellow line in North America means to cross with caution. Excuse me. So yes, you can do that. Bronco Horse 77, hi there. How are you tonight? Awesome. If you have any questions whatsoever. So tip number 2, Slow speed maneuvers will improve your overall driving, and I come back to this again and again and again. And I have a video that I give to new students who have trouble turning, who have trouble controlling their speed when they're attempting to do some sort of maneuver or whatnot. Parallel parking, 2-point reverse turn, 3-point turns, reverse stall parking. All of those slow speed maneuvers will improve your overall driving, because slow speed maneuvers teach you awareness about where your vehicle is in space and place. And the more slow speed maneuvers you can do, the better driver you are going to be overall. Have you seen people in parking lots, I'm sure we all have, who are backing up and they're not observing properly, they don't have good control of the vehicle, and you sort of think to yourself, you think, how does that person even have a driver's license? Because they never spent proper time doing slow speed maneuvers, doing the exercises in the slow speed maneuver video that I have about learning how to drive. And what I would say, if Corey can put that video up there, is the video on how to learn to drive. It has exercises. You throw down a piece of 2x4 or a board or something in a parking lot and drive over it with the passenger wheels and the driver's wheels on both sides of the vehicle. And if you can do that and then back up over it, you have a really good sense of where your vehicle is in space and place. And as well, you have good control of the primary controls, the brake, the throttle, and the steering wheel. And for those of you driving manual transmissions in other parts of the world, it's going to be the clutch as well. So slow speed maneuvers are the key to improving your overall driving. All right, so that's tip number 2. All right, so Renee, you're most welcome. Yes, to the left, and you're most welcome, and you can do that. So Corey's put up key video, but great to watch. The others also, how to merge onto a highway, freeway, or motorway as seen in the dash cam. There you go. Terrific. So Corey's got that information up for you. Thanks, Corey. So tip number 3, right of way, and I've talked about this before in terms of you can be right or you can be dead right, right? The right of way is never taken. The right of way is always given. So you can't go unless another driver allows you to go. So you have to ensure that other drivers are giving you the right of way. And as I said, and I had a bit of a go at another driver who was arguing with me last week about merging, and that they were on the highway and they had the right of way and the cars that are merging have to yield to them. That is simply not true. Driving is a social activity. If you insist on having the right of way and you're not going to let off, and you're not going to exact professionalism, you're not going to be a professional driver, and you're going to insist, you not only risk your own safety, you risk the safety of other road users on the roadway, and that is not being a smart driver. Being a smart driver is knowing that other drivers on the roadway are going to make a mistake, and it's simply a matter of you putting in skills, abilities, and techniques that when it does happen and when other drivers do make mistakes, you have put in defensive strategies and defensive posturing that keep you safe, and you just say, oh, okay, well, there it goes. Somebody just made a mistake. Have a nice day. And you just sort of back off, regain your space, and carry on with your life. That is what is being a smart driver, because it's keeping you safe and keeping other people on the roadway safe and taking responsibility for driving as a social activity. So tip number 3 is right of way. You can be right or you can be dead right. So that's tip number 3. Renee, is it okay to pass a slow vehicle during a driving test if you are not instructed by the instructor? Yes, you can, Renee. Of course, you can pass, but you have to do it legally. And as well, it kind of depends how far away you are from another intersection where you're going to be turning and those types of things. There's a lot of variables and a lot of discretion involved in that maneuver for the purposes of a road test, so know that. And if you're unsure of that, what I would do, Ben, and what I would counsel you to do is to find a local driving instructor in your area and talk to him or her about that. And the other thing, Renee, that I would really encourage you to do is take a practice driving test before your road test, and you can simply hire a driving school to do that. In some places, they're fairly inexpensive in order to do a practice driving test. I know for Sam there in the Bronx, with Rookie Auto Driving School, I think they only charge $25 for a practice driving test. So it's really well worth the money to take a practice driving test before you go for your road test. Okay, Bronco Horse, how old do you have to be to get a learner's permit? I'm 16. Bronco Horse, you can get your learner's permit when you're 16. And what I would suggest to you, Bronco Horse, is because GLP, most states, most places in North America now have graduated licensing programs. Get your learners as soon as possible because you have to have your learners in most places for 1 year. And it's simply a calendar year. There's no requirement for you to have so many driving hours and those types of things. But get your learners as quickly as possible. That starts that clock ticking over, and that way that 1 year will go by a lot faster. Okay? Samantha, hi there. How are you? Okay, so Ben has clarified that some states are 16 and some are 18. Ben, I'm not aware of any states that are 18 years old to get a learner's license. I am aware of some states that it's 18 years old before you can move from the novice stage to the full license stage. Could you let me know, Ben, if you know any places that are 18 in terms of getting a learner's license? Because I'm not aware of any places that are, in fact, 18. Okay, Ryan, any tips for helping me on backing a tractor with a 53-foot trailer? Yes, Ryan. The first thing I'm going to tell you, Ryan, in terms of backing up a semi-trailer, especially a 53-foot trailer, 80% of backing up successfully is the setup. In other words, if you can back up in a straight line, that is your ideal in terms of backing up a tractor trailer unit. You want to back up in a straight line. So what you need to do, and what a lot of new students and a lot of new CDL drivers do, is that when they pull up to set up the truck and trailer, they don't pull far enough ahead. Even though there's more space there, if you pull farther ahead, you'll get the truck and trailer in a straight line. And if you can get that truck and trailer in a straight line and you can back that unit up in a straight line, that's what you want to do. As well, I don't know who the driving instructor that you have that you're with, but always, always, always back from the driver's side. Do not back from the blind side, especially if you have a road tractor, because as soon as that unit bends, you can't see anything out that passenger side. So you always want to back from the driver's side. But your setup is the most important, and there's different ways to do that. And maybe you can just let me know, Ryan, what particular difficulties you're having with backing up a semi-trailer. What tends to be your challenge, and then maybe I can address that specifically. Okay, Givenchy, when should I turn on my blinker when I'm entering the highway as soon as I get on the ramp? Yes, Givenchy, as soon as you get on the ramp, you turn your signal on that you're going to merge out onto the highway, because it gives other traffic on the highway advanced notice that you are there, and that's what you're doing, because our eyes are attracted to light and movement, and the flashing of the light is what gets the attention of drivers on the highway and alerts them to your presence on the acceleration lane, on the on-ramp, and as well, signals are to request that you wish to move over, not that you are moving over. So that will ask other drivers to help you out when you're moving over. All right, so tip number 4 in terms of skills that you learn from your license that can be applied to real weather driving: observation. Observation is key to you managing space around your vehicle. And I talked about this a little bit before, because it's one of the key fundamental components of passing a road test. Observation is scanning the environment around your vehicle, taking note of traffic patterns, and knowing what's going to happen in front of you. In other words, if all of the vehicles are bunched up on the far side of an intersection, you know that the light just turned green. And that is an advanced driving technique. If you know that all the vehicles are bunched up, you know that they're not going fast. So as you're approaching the intersection and all the vehicles are bunched up on the far side of the intersection, you're going to simply let your foot off the throttle, slow down your vehicle, and then accelerate with the traffic as it's moving off at the intersection. Observation, so you want to be scanning far down the road. You want to be checking your mirrors. You want to be looking at cross streets. You want to be looking on the sidewalk, into the ditches, 360-degree scan around your vehicle, being aware of what other traffic is doing and anticipating the movements of vehicles and road users on the roadway. Another example is looking down the roadway and seeing a crosswalk light or sign, and you notice that there's pedestrians in and around the crosswalk area. You know that potentially the crosswalk light could activate, and that there are pedestrians going to cross and the vehicles are going to come to a stop. Observation is the key to It's the underpinnings of you effectively managing space around your vehicle. So that's tip number 4. Okay, Colleen is here. I'm so scared to drive on the highway. How can I combat that fear? Colleen, what I would suggest to you is to go in places where there is low density traffic. And you know, if you don't want to drive at 60 miles an hour, go on highways that are only 50 miles an hour, and that way you're going to get used to it, especially if there's not other traffic around that's going to intimidate you and those types of things, because on the highway it can be really intimidating. The other thing, Colleen, that I would suggest is that to go out with a friend or some other person that can help you out and mentor you a little bit, and you know, just talk to you and sort of calm you down, because it kind of distracts you a little bit from what you're doing. So that's another technique and skill that you can put in place. But the 4 most powerful words in the language, or in the English language: I can do this, I am a safe driver. So keep telling that. And as well, Corey will put up the video here for you. Corey's already got it up for you. Excellent. Thanks, Corey. 9 tips to reduce fear and anxiety when you're driving. And all of this will help you out to overcome that fear that you have. But you know, it's just exposure. And one day go out for 5 or 10 minutes on the highway and then get off, and then go out for another 5 or 10 minutes. If you can do that for a few weeks at a time, you're going to be much better at it. So all of that is going to help you out. Okay, Ryan, I'm having problem figuring out the 90-degree backing. Really can't figure out how to set that up properly. I'm in Ontario. Okay, so Ryan, so you're doing a 90-degree corner. So I suspect you're in one of those places where they make you back around a corner. What you need to do is that you need to come up and you need to drive into where the T is on a dip like this, and then get the truck and trailer on an angle. And you want to, ideally what you want to do is you want to get the trailer on an angle like this and the tractor straight this way. And then what happens is that when you're backing up, when you back up, you're already got the truck in a straight line, and you've already set the trailer up so that it's turning around the corner. And as well, keep the truck in the middle of the road here, because what's going to happen when you back up is the front end's going to swing out this way. So it's going to swing out to the left. So you need some room for the tractor to come around on the left there. And if you do that, if you get the truck and trailer, come in on a dip and then get it on an angle like this, that's going to help you with your setup to get the truck and trailer around the corner. Okay? And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get it around the corner. And you can pull up, right? Once you get it around, if it's not going straight, pull up, get it straight, and then back straight up. That's ideally what you want to do in order to back up and be successful for your road test. Okay? The Savage, Rick, when I'm on the road test, do they require both hands on the steering wheel when parallel parking and also backing up? No, the Savage, when you're backing up or you're doing your parallel parking, you can put one hand on the steering wheel. However, for parallel parking, when you back up, yes, you want both hands on the steering wheel, because you're going to turn the steering wheel all the way to the right. You're going to back up until you're facing your 45. 2 hands to straighten it out, and just 1 hand to keep it straight, back up, and then 2 hands to manipulate it all the way the other way. But when you're reverse stall parking, yes, you want both hands to manipulate the steering wheel a long way, but then you want to be looking out the back and 1 hand on the steering wheel with the other hand in the back of the seat. So that's what you want to be doing. Janet, I overthink and confuse myself which way I want to turn my steering wheel when backing a trailer into a spot. Is that just more practice, less overthinking? No, Janet, one of the things that will help you in terms of backing up is when you put your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel. The way that you push the steering wheel when you have your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel is the way that the trailer is going to go. So there's two maneuvers that you're doing when you're backing up a truck and trailer, or a car and trailer, whichever, you know, a towing unit and a trailer. You want to turn the trailer and you want to follow the trailer, because you don't want the trailer to turn too much. So you need to turn the trailer, you put your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel, and the way you push the steering wheel is the way that the trailer is going to go. So if you put your hand on the bottom of the steering wheel and you push the steering wheel to the right, the trailer is going to turn to the right. But you only want it to turn so much. Now, to follow the trailer, you simply move your hand to the top of the steering wheel, and the way that you turn the steering wheel is the way that you're going to now follow the trailer with the towing unit. So that's a technique that you can put in place that will help you to not overthink which way you need to turn and follow the trailer, because those are the 2 things that you're doing. And remember, for both Janet and Ryan, who are backing up trailers, backing up a trailer is not a static event. It's not something that you set the trailer on a line and it's going to stay on that line. When you're backing up a truck and trailer, or a towing unit and a trailer, it's you're always adjusting. You're always adjusting the trajectory of where that trailer is going and where you want it to end up. So know that. So you're always going to be adjusting for the truck and trailer. And as well, Ryan, the other thing that's going to help you with the semi-trailer and backing up the semi-trailer is if you have access to a truck and trailer, just a pickup truck and a trailer, and you're backing that up, that is going to help you as well, because people who come to truck driving and have previous backing up abilities with truck and trailer, it's a lot easier to those are transferable skills into a truck and trailer. It's just working with a bigger unit. Okay, Colleen, you're most welcome. Sorry, my mistakes. I'm used to be 18 a few years back, but there are requirements have changed. Okay, thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. Colleen, you're welcome. Pamela, you're so welcome. Bronco 77. I think I have no fear at any driving lesson. I believe myself. You believe in yourself at driving. That's really great, Bronco Horse. That's really good that you're confident in your ability and keeping lookout and those types of things. So that's really great that you're confident in your ability to drive. Hamad, I got my license in February with ease. Thank you so much. I'd help with a lot of your videos. That's great, Hamad. Thank you so much for letting us know that you got your license back there and everything's going well. You've remained crash-free in the months since February, so that's really great. And Corey says, the Savage, also check out the playlist, How to Learn to Reverse and Back Up a Car Smart. For the road test, keep your seatbelt on. Yes. For the video that I showed you how to reverse, we'll just make this caveat in terms of reversing. I said that you can take your seatbelt off. For those of you going for a passenger vehicle license, do not take your seatbelt off for the purposes of the road test. Leave your seatbelt on. And the reason I said that is because after you get your license, yes, you can take your seatbelt off according to legislation in most places in the world. There are a couple of places in the world that know, in fact, you can't take your seatbelt off when reversing. But most highway traffic acts do permit you to remove your seatbelt for the purposes of reversing. And I had a person the other day have a go at me about that and said it's the most dangerous thing that you can ever do. People don't realize that seatbelts don't protect you in 100% of cases. They only protect you in about 50% of car crashes, and as well, for the purposes of reversing, your seatbelt won't protect you because the forces are all in the opposite direction of what your seatbelt is designed to do. So you can remove it for the purposes of backing up after you get your license. And for commercial drivers, for Ryan as well, when you're backing up, do take your seatbelt off because that'll make it a lot easier for you to be able to manipulate the steering wheel and primary controls and observe and those types of things while you're backing up. Okay, Peachy, I'm taking a long road trip, 8 to 12 hours. Do you have any tips for long trips with city and country driving? Yes, Peachy. Do a little bit of route planning before you go with Google Maps and your phone and those types of things. Have a look. There's a video on here on route planning and navigation. That'll give you some tips. And as well, Peachy, are you traveling in the United States? If you're traveling in the United States, have a look at the video on how to route plan and how to navigate interstates in the United States. That'll help you out as well. And as well, plan a break every couple of hours while you're driving. And, you know, if I don't know whether you're traveling with children or those types of things or your family or whatnot, but have a place that you can stop, you can, you know, get a cup of coffee, go to a playground, get a little bit of exercise and walk around and those types of things. Just, you know, get the blood going and those types of things because you are sitting for long periods of times in the car and whatnot. And the other thing that I recommend, Peachy, for long trips, and one of the things that I really like, especially if I'm driving by myself, is to have audiobooks. So go to the library and get some audio stories. I don't recommend nonfiction. There is some nonfiction that you can listen to, but for the most part, fiction novels are really good. Something that really will keep you engrossed, and I find that those really help as well. All right, so going back to my list of skills and abilities from your road test that will move on to your keeping you crash-free while you're driving. Tip number 5 is communication. Communicate well with other traffic, other road users on the roadway. And we have this discussion about merging onto highways and lots of new drivers having trepidation about moving out onto freeways that other drivers won't give them space and gap and those types of things. Changing lanes. How many drivers, new drivers or upgrading drivers that I've worked with who say, oh, other drivers won't let you over. And then I say to them, well, if you turn your signal on and you ask other drivers to move over, most of the time they're going to create a gap. They're going to help you get over because they're not going to help you out if they don't know that you want to move over. You need to ask. It's as I say to students, Signals are to request that you wish to move over, not that you are moving over. So it's not kind of an afterthought while you're moving over, you put three flashes on the signal and then cut it off. No, communicate well in advance. When you're changing lanes, keep your signal on from the time that you start moving over all the way into the other laneway. Signal well in advance when you're making turns. Drive with your headlights on if you don't have daylight running lights on your vehicle. Get into the turning lanes as soon as the turning lane starts. All of that will help you to communicate with other traffic your intentions, because if you can communicate and work that in tandem with observation and space management around your vehicle, it's less likely that you're going to be involved in a crash. So that's tip number 5, communication. And then number 6, and this is probably the most important, and I say the same thing for any drivers that have fear and trepidation or have anxiety around driving or driving on highways and those types of things. Focus on what you're doing. That's tip number 6. Tip number 6. Focus on what you're doing. Don't focus on what other people are doing. Don't play other people's games. Because when you play other people's games or you're second guessing what other people are doing, that's when you're going to get into trouble and other people are going to honk at you and those types of things, because you're being unpredictable on the roadway. So you have to focus on what you're doing. If you're sitting at a left-hand turn and you're waiting for the gap, don't be pressured by the other vehicles, because if you're not comfortable going, don't go, because it's probably not going to be safe and you're going to risk a crash. So that's tip number 6 of skills and abilities that you can take from your license test and keep them and drive defensively and remain crash free. Because doing a road test, for those of you, and there are lots of you right now who are doing road tests, I can see because my channel's on fire right now. The how to pass a road test video that I did, the mock road test video, is 500,000 minutes of watch time right now. So there's lots of people doing road tests, and you're going against everything that society tells you, everything that all the other drivers on the roadway tell you. You're maintaining space, you're driving according to the posted speed limit, you're focusing on what you're doing, and you need to keep that so that you can remain crash free later when you're driving. Okay? Excuse me, Dorcas. Hi Rick, my husband complained that I don't accelerate smoothly, said I press on the gas too much. Any tips? Yes, and Corey has put up how to control the gas pedal and speed. I passed the road test, and there you go. So Dorcas, some of the things that you can do to accelerate more smoothly, just go out to a parking lot and just practice working with the throttle. Accelerate hard, and get a feel for what the vehicle does when you slam down on that throttle, and then try and run it smoothly. And the other thing that you can do is if you have a tachometer on your vehicle, you can try and hold the throttle at 2,000 RPM, and that way it'll give you some sense of how much resistance there is on the throttle and how much you have to press down and how much you have to kind of work it in order to keep it at one spot, and that way you can accelerate smoothly when you're driving. As well, the other thing I would suggest, Dorcas, is look at the video on how to learn and go and get some of those 36-inch 1 meter tall pylons. Go to the parking lot and, you know, be kind of crazy with it. Drive fast around the corner, and because you're not just controlling the throttle, you're also controlling the throttle and the steering wheel at the same time, and oftentimes it's those two things that work in concert to give you smooth acceleration. Because what's happened is you're going around a corner and you're trying to manipulate the steering wheel, you get distracted by manipulating the steering wheel and you forget about the throttle, and your throttle tends to be a bit jerky instead of being a smooth acceleration, because you're focusing on this part up here of working on the throttle, or on the steering wheel rather, and you kind of forget about the steering wheel. So that's another thing that you can do in terms of working on smoothing out your acceleration. So yep, so there we go, how to practice driving road tests. That's the video that's doing really well right now and helping people out. So it's really great. So I want to thank everybody for practicing road tests and those types of things. Anita, hi there, how are you tonight? So again, just a quick recap of the tips and techniques and skills that you can take from a road test. So tip number 1 was space management. I believe that is the key to defensive driving. Tip number 2 was slow speed maneuvers. Slow speed maneuvers will improve your overall driving. Number 3 was right of way, and you've heard me say this again and again. Right of way is the right of way is always given. It is never taken. If another vehicle or road user decides that they're going to go, you cannot force your way out there, okay? Tip number 4, observation. Make sure that you scan well, that you know what's going on around you. That will allow you to interpret traffic patterns and determine what other vehicles and other road users are doing on the roadway. And the example that I gave you was pedestrians around a crosswalk area. If there's pedestrians around a crosswalk or a light, a crosswalk light, or those types of things, there's a good chance that they're going to activate it. Traffic's going to have to come to a stop. So if you have good observation in place, it will allow you to be proactive on the roadway as opposed to reactive, because you don't want to be reactive. You don't want to be right up on the other traffic and then they come to a stop and you're too close. So you want to manage your space around your vehicle, and you do that through observation. And then communication, communicate well with other traffic. That way it gives them time to react as well, and that way they're being proactive and not reacting to what you're doing. And another technique for that is that if somebody is tailgating you, you need to increase the following distance in front of your vehicle. That way it gives you time to react, and that person behind you as well to react, and you're not forced to make any emergency maneuvers which could potentially risk a rear-end crash. So communication is vital as well as part of driving safely and remaining crash-free. And then finally, tip number 6. Tip number 6 is focus on what you're doing. Don't get pressured by other traffic and other vehicles on the roadway. So know that focus on what you're doing. If you're doing a left-hand turn at a complex intersection, you don't feel that the gap is sufficient, don't go. Okay, wait until you feel that the gap is sufficient, even if other drivers and whatnot are honking, because oftentimes if we get pressured by other vehicles on the roadway and you go, you're going to risk a crash. And if you're involved in a crash, it's your safety and your life that's at risk. So know that, and don't be pressured by the driver. So there's Sam, driving lessons by Big Mac Sam. And how are you tonight, Sam? Haven't seen you for a little while. You're doing well, I hope, my friend. And the weather is good there in the Bronx. Excuse me. All right. And Ben is saying most states your insurance will be higher due to not taking driver's ed. Yes, there is a discount for new drivers who take driver's ed. And as well, I know that a lot of people try to avoid taking driver's ed because there are some places, yes, in fact, that driver's education can be expensive. However, if you want to be guaranteed of taking your road test, I do recommend 1 or 2 lessons and a practice driving test before you go for your road test, because driving instructors teach people how to pass a road test every day. And that's what they do, and they're very good at it. They know the skills and abilities and techniques that you need to have in place in order to be successful on a road test. All the information that I give you here on the channel is general information. I mean, it's very good at helping you be successful on your road test, but every driving test center has its places where it has its little nuances and whatnot, you know, specific information that only the driving instructor that works in and around or at that licensing center can give you the explanations for that. So, Mohan, big hello from India. That is awesome. This channel is one of the best driving tutorial channels on YouTube for manual transmission driving car. Love your step-by-step explanation for beginners especially. Thank you, Mohan. That is really kind words, and I can't express my thanks enough for those kind words. And I'm really glad that we're helping you out with how to learn how to drive a manual transmission. Not so many people here in North America. 80% of the cars in North America are automatic transmissions, so unfortunately it's a waning skill here in North America. But in India, Southeast Asia, Europe, and other places in the world, it's the reverse of that. It's actually about 85-90% of the vehicles are actually manual transmissions, and very few vehicles are manual transmissions. So I do recommend that many people in the world should learn the skill of learning how to drive a manual transmission. Carson, I was told that I could use my parents' vehicle without my name on their insurance. Carson, no, that is not, that's not true, because most insurance policies, in order for you to drive the vehicle and be insured, you have to be older than 25 years old. So Carson, what I would suggest is you get your parents, or you call the insurance company and just make sure that you're covered, because you don't want something to happen and you're not covered by insurance, because that could be very that could put you in a precarious place. So make sure that you're insured by just calling the insurance company and knowing that you're covered. Excellent. So you're doing well, Sam, and the weather's good there. You're not, it's not a heat wave down there in the Bronx. Excellent. Cast reel, how do I study the owner's manual? Oh, cast reel. Owner's manual. I think you mean the driver's manual. Don't read the driver's manual from cover to cover if that's what you mean. I'm just interpreting that for you for just a minute here. Rather, go on the internet here, and there are some on the website, on my website, www.smartdrivetest.com, and do the practice driving test questions. Don't use the practice driving test questions as a test of your ability. Rather, use the practice driving test questions as a learning tool. Do the practice driving test questions, identify the gaps in your knowledge, the things that you don't know, for example, how to drive at night with animals on the roadway. Then go to the driver's manual, look that piece up specifically, and just read that section. And then go back and do more of the practice driving test questions. When you're getting 80 or 90% consistently on the practice driving test questions, then you should be good to go in and write your learner's permit at whatever licensing center you're going to be going to and doing your road test, and that's going to help you out in terms of doing that. But don't read the driver's manual from cover to cover, because those things are really boring because they're written by bureaucrats. All right there. Excellent. Ben, you can, but some states also require them to hold you on the insurance if you live in the same household. There you go. Yes, that is correct, Ben. Thank you so much for that. We'll get that sorted out and make sure that Carson is insured on his vehicle there, because, yeah, if you're under 25, most of them you do have to, in fact, be on the insurance. Excellent. Cast reel, you're most welcome. And we thank you for being here and being a smart driver and learning professionalism and those types of things. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody for the success of this channel. It's been more successful than I could have ever imagined, and it's been really great. It's been a great journey. Lots of work, but it's been a rewarding work. Now, I just want to ask people here, while we're just about finishing up here and wrapping up for the night. One of the things I was contemplating here is I wanted to start revamping some of the videos that I've done. I mean, some of them are doing really well and some of them are really good. And I have heard some feedback in the past that people like my videos because there's some really good explanation. I have had a bit of feedback from people that think that some of my videos are too wordy and that I talk a little bit too much. And I do agree with that. I've looked at some of my videos and thought, you know, I could probably tighten that up a little bit. So what I've thought with some of my videos is that I would go back and redo some of those videos. You can just leave me a comment on the community tab here on the YouTube channel and give me some feedback about what you think about you know, which videos that I might redo and could do them better, because I mean, now obviously 3 years along here on the YouTube channel, my video abilities and skills and taking videos and those types of things are a lot better. So I think I could do a better job with them and get to the point a lot more quickly with some of the videos. So if you could just leave me a note on the community tab, and for those of you who are watching on the replay, that would be really great. And as well, if you like the information here, you like the channel, consider subscribing as well. Hit that thumbs up button, and all of that helps to promote the channel and help other people to get their license, learn how to drive manual vehicles and how to back up semi-trailers and all of those types of things. So anything to do with driving and anything to do with passing a road test, all of that will help you out. So hit that thumbs up button if you like the content you see here. So Carson, I'll look into it. Really great. Rabaz, hey, I haven't been to the channel in a while, but felt like updating you. I just dropped my dad off at Kona Airport and did my first solo drive with my brother. And that's awesome, Rabaz. That's really great. So you're doing your first solo drive with your brother. Awesome. So that's really great that you got your license and now you're driving to the airport. That can be a bit of a challenge getting into the airport, because international airports can be a bit crazy. I remember getting into the University of Melbourne. Ronald, thank you so much for the super chat there. That's awesome. And if you need any help at all, Ronald, with getting your license or whatnot, we can certainly help you out. Sebastian, some of your very old videos, your voice is low and you sound not too confident. Those can be updated. You sound sharper today and more confident and assertive. That's for sure, Sebastian. It took me, it's actually kind of funny. It took me a couple of years to actually get a real camera, you know, to get my personality in front of the camera, because It was pretty funny, some of those first ones. And because, you know, I do have a PhD. I taught at the university. I lectured at the university. And when I first started doing this, I thought, you know, oh, this won't be too hard, the transition to camera. And little did I know that the transition to having an online presence and sitting in front of a camera would take me a couple of years to sort of develop my personality online and on the camera. So yeah, so that's really great. Thanks for that feedback, Sebastian. Yes, I do have a website for those of you who are asking. I'll just type it in here. There you go. There's the website for those of you who are asking for the website. Blessed, I've been watching your videos and it's been very helpful. Thank you for your time. Blessed, you are most welcome, and thank you for contributing and asking questions and all of that, because all of that makes this much better. Alex, if you have any questions about stuff on the website or courses or whatnot, have a look at that. I know that there's a glitch with the defensive driving course. It's still on special, so if you want to take the defensive driving course or consider taking that, by all means, just get in touch with me and I'll fix that up. Michael, what do you do when you get a red blinking arrow light when making a left-hand turn? Michael, you're going to have to send me an address for that, because I would need to look at that. I just want to make sure that I give you the specific information about that, so that I give you the right information. Robaz, it's thanks to you that I have my license. I've only been driving for about 5 or 6 months, so thanks a lot. And that's really great. And Robaz, that's great that you've been driving for 5 or 6 months and are still crash-free, because new drivers, after they get their license, are susceptible to being involved in a crash. So you're doing excellent there. Really great. Yeah, anytime. You're most welcome, Sebastian. Thank you so much. I appreciate your feedbacks. Alex, why am I nervous when I drive? Because driving is one of those things, Alex, in our society where everybody does it, so therefore everybody thinks that it's easy and something that everybody should do. It's kind of like taking photographs. It's not quite like taking photographs, because you take a bad photograph, nobody's going to, you know, there's no risk of injury. But because everybody has a car and most people in our society drive, people think that it's easy, when in fact learning how to drive is probably one of the most complex tasks that we can undertake. So know that's probably why you have some fear and trepidation and anxiety about driving. And definitely have to look at the video on 9 tips on fear and driving. And Big Mac Sam, if anybody's here from New York or Bronx or area, definitely get in touch with Sam. He's at Rookie Auto Driving School there in the Bronx, and he'll certainly help you to be successful in getting your license. Dell, what is your Facebook group? Who is it for? I need all the resources and support I can get. I'm working on defeating anxiety so I can finally get a license. And Dell, yes, the most, probably any questions you have, Dell, just leave them in the comments on the YouTube channel. I've been exceedingly busy lately, so I've been working really hard to try and get to the comments and those sorts of things as best I can. Unfortunately, I don't really get over to Facebook as much as I should, so best to just ask your comments here on YouTube, okay? And for anybody watching on the replay, if you have questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section there, and I'll try really hard to get to those as much as I can. Just with summer, it's kind of crazy right now. So, okay, Tracy, you don't talk too much, you talk just enough. Some people just complain too much. Thanks so much, Tracy. I appreciate that. There we go. And thank you for that endorsement, Sam. That is really great. John, how to turn and highway merge videos with multi-view would be killer. Yes, and John, I've started doing some of those multi-view videos, some of my recent videos, how to change lanes, and Corey can get that video for you. I do have multiple cameras, so I have more views on that. So thank you so much for that. And Sebastian, I agree with Tracy. Thorough information is good information, better than being short and blunt. I hated professors with that style. Yes, yes. It makes it difficult, and that's why I try and be thorough, so I'm covering everything that you may encounter for the purpose of your road test. So I certainly appreciate that endorsement. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. And thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. I thank you for all the support. For those of you, all of you who have passed a road test in the last week, congratulations on your success. That's awesome. And as I said, anybody who tells me that they've passed the road test, I put them on the map of success there that I've started, and Corey can find that for you and stick that up for you as well. Have a look at that. And it's really great. It's awesome to have sort of a visual of everybody in the world who's passed, and I'll get the people here who told me that they've passed in Grenada. That's really awesome. And we had one more, and I do apologize, I forget who it was, where they were in the world. So yep, I appreciate everybody's feedback, and the channel's going to continue to grow, and we'll get some great videos out for you. And Dorcas, you're most welcome. Anything we can do, just simply leave us a comment down in the comment section. And for those of you who have a road test coming up this week, good luck on that, and all the best with that. And we'll certainly help you out with what we can do. And for those of you watching on the replays, thank you so much. Alex, I passed as well. There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much. Alex in Maryland. There we go. MD. Had to remember the short form for Maryland. So remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.